Hello and welcome to our Cognigy.AI version 4.3 release webinar. In this video, you will get a short and crisp live demo of the latest and greatest additions to your favorite conversational AI platform. Let's look at the agenda. So first, we will talk about packages, a new and powerful way to migrate Cognigy.AI resources across virtual agents and even across environments. You will then get to see our extended live chat capabilities based on Chatwood as an additional handover provider that's coming out of the box. And last not least, you will get to know Cognigy Functions, a true game changer for developers when it comes to integrating Cognigy AI with external systems. There is much more to see in this webinar. Please also check out the release notes under docs.cognigy.com for the full overview. If you are not yet a Cognigy AI user, but you still like what you see in this webinar, please check out our free trial and explore Cognigy AI on your own or with the help of our comprehensive onboarding tutorials and video classes. Should you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of my colleagues. We're always happy to support you. And with that, let's start the show.
Hello everyone, my name is Matt from Cognigy, and today I'll be showing you through some of the new features in version 4.3 of Cognigy AI. Now, I'll start with mentioning that all of these new features are available in our release notes on our documentation, and if you're using the trial environment and many of our other environments, you'll see a 4.3 release news article available on the homepage of your Cognigy AI platform. So let's dive in and take a look at the first feature that we want to look at in version 4.3. This feature is called packages. Now you will notice in your agents you now have an option for packaging. What this allows us to do is export single resources in a project. That means anything inside the build menu, be that a flow, a lexicon, connection, any IOU connector, or a function, we can now export that as a single resource. This is a very popular feature back in Cognigy version 3, and backed by popular demand, it is here. So you'll now notice that on any of these resources we have the option to export as a package. So what I'm going to do, just to make this nice and obvious, is I'm going to make a change to this flow by adding in a new say node. Let's just call this packaged say node. I'll save the change there. I'll just go back to the list of flows. This is in my tertiary flow, and I'm going to export that as a package. Now that creates a task in the background, and the task will just take a few seconds to run. You can see I've already packaged some of these in the past few minutes. And once that's finished, I'll be able to download that single resource as a zip file. And what I'm going to do with that is use that package to install it and update my production version of the virtual agent. Great, so I can see that the success messages come through, and now I can click this link in the tasks menu, and that has downloaded the package to my computer. Now I can head across to my production project, and of course that is via the main dashboard, and I can open up our manage drop down menu and select packaging. Now in the packaging module, which has newly been added to the interface, you have the ability to select a package that you have downloaded from your computer. I'll select the package that's just been downloaded and upload that into the platform. And halfway through this import process, you'll reach the configuration stage where you can select which locale. If your agent does include multiple locales, you can simply select which locales you want to import. This example only has one locale, and you can also select whether you want to import it as a copy or to replace the existing resource. Because this project was also created from a snapshot of my development agent, all of the resources contain the same IDs as the original project. Therefore, if I replace the agent resource, I can simply overwrite it and update it, just that one single flow in this project. So I'm going to select replace, and I'm going to import that. That again will just take a few seconds to complete, and once that is done, we'll be able to check the flow and see that the change has been updated. So you can see in the flow now, our package say node has been installed. So again, just a quick review on packages. You can export any single resource that is available from your build menu and import that into another project. A nice new feature to have. The second integration, and the second new feature for version 4.3 that we'd like to highlight is the new integration for live agent tooling, and that is with Chatwood. So Chatwood is an open source provider of live agent software, which means it is free and open to use and run on your own hosted environment. And Chatwood offers some great features for live agent communication, such as conversation inboxes, which can support different use cases within your Cognigy.AI projects. It also has great features for notifications for agents, as well as agents' access to conversation archives and transcripts. Also has features for automatically sending transcripts at the end of conversations, and also provides notifications to agents when users are typing in the chat. So the way this is integrated into Cognigy is via the endpoints. So if I navigate through to my endpoints, and the web chat is one of our endpoints to set up an integration with a with a live agent platform. And I can navigate to my handover settings. I can now select Chatwood from the available options. Once I select that, I have the base URL, account ID, and API key to configure for my chat instance of Chatwood. And when this handover occurs with this particular endpoint, the conversation will be forwarded to your agents in your Chatwood environment. Now, obviously, this is integrated deeply with our existing handover node. So in the node menu, you'll be able to find our existing handover node, which now has a new drop-down menu for specific Chatwood settings, and that is the Chatwood inbox ID, which you want to forward the conversation to. So this means that you can target specific agents that have access to given inboxes for various projects around your use cases that you are implementing. So a great new live agent integration option available with version 4.3. The next feature I'd like to highlight is Cognigy functions, and you will have noticed this inside your update if you are running on version 4.3, that we have Cognigy functions available as a beta feature. Now, what Cognigy functions are essentially that. They are an asynchronous function that you can trigger and activate from your flows. They're very similar in appearance to our existing transformer functions, and give you the ability to write custom JavaScript code inside the Cognigy console. So I've created a little example function here that we can run in this session. And what this example function does is it accesses the Swappy API and returns a Star Wars character. Now, the functions have some great testing features where you can actually run the function from the console here. You can see that the console has started the function, and this particular function just waits 5 seconds and then injects the message into the Cognigy conversation. Now, the list of instances here also provides a list of every time the function has been run throughout our project, and you can also run again the function from this menu, and you can see that when that is running in the background. So Cognigy functions are really helpful and can be accessed from your flow. They can also have parameters passed into them, so you can actually pass in maybe conversation context variables to use in your API requests. And you also have access to log your output messages or your responses from those APIs to the console. So as we ran that function just there, and we do have a console log, you will see that if we navigate across to our project logs and we activate the debug menu, we can see the responses from that API are available here under the debug logging. So in summary, the functions allow you to perform API requests in an asynchronous fashion from your flow, and in order to get these messages back into your conversation, Cognigy exposes the API inject and API notify functions within your code here. So at the end of this function, when it does run, it will inject this code, this string back into the conversation. So let's take a look now at how we activate this function from our flows. So I've set up just a base to have the start for this function inside our flow. We just have a question node with a button that starts the function. But we also have a dedicated trigger function node that's been added to the Cognigy user interface. And when you set this up, you'll have two options, two child nodes that come below the trigger function node. One of these passes taken as soon as the function is scheduled, and if there is a scheduling error for any reason, this can also be used to notify the users of such an error. Now on the trigger function node itself, you can select the functions that you have available within the Cognigy interface, and this is also the interface where you would pass in your parameters if you are using them. I'm going to save that now, and I'm also just going to create a say node so that we know this is being scheduled. So let's just say function is running, and let's save that. And now I'm going to open one of the endpoints that is connected to this, which is our web chat endpoint, just to display how this is going to run. Let me just open this. Let me just keep this in this window. So this is the flow that we saw, and if I click the start button, we have our scheduling message, which is delivered on the scheduling child, and the 5 seconds that the function is delayed to respond with is showing now that the response that we configured inside the function is injected into the conversation. So the functions are very customized to however you want them to perform. They do have an overall runtime of 15 minutes maximum, and that means they are really good for accessing APIs that require sort of long time of polling. But overall, they can be really helpful for you to customize the way you are accessing your APIs from your flows without using the existing. If you are wanting an alternate method to then our existing extensions or our existing HTTP request node. And they also offer a great way to copy and paste code that you already have, maybe in Postman or in other API demo tools where you already have existing JavaScript API requests. You can simply copy and paste them into your function code under the JavaScript section of the function. So that is functions in a nutshell, and as mentioned, one of the new great features with Cognigy version 4.3, and will be available as a beta option. So there may be some changes that come in the future with the functions feature. So the next great feature I'd like to give a quick example of is our new email notification node. Now this makes emailing nice and easy from your flows. In version 4.2 we extended the options we have for configuring SMTP email servers to our conversations. And in version 4.3 we've added an email notification node, which makes it much simpler to send emails from your conversations. This email notification simply needs to be provided with an email to address and a subject and then your email content, and it will use a email template and SMTP provider configured on a system level to send a templated email message to your provided email address. So ultimately this package, this new node makes it much easier for you to quickly allow your users to configure and send emails. And then of course we have the dedicated email SMTP node, which allows you to provide your own SMTP connections and credentials for those various services that you want to use. The next feature I'd like to mention is our NLU warnings. So we've added a few new warnings in our flows for certain conditions around errors with the NLU functions. So I'll just navigate quickly to my flow where I've configured this. And that's okay. I think I'll just create a new intent, which I'll show how this works. So let's say we're going to create an order intent. We can provide it with some example sentences, but the new warnings are mostly around rules and conditions that appear inside our intents. So let's say we want to configure or we do configure a rule that is not compatible, or there's going to be an issue with the runtime of that rule. Let's just save this as an example and see what we get when we build the model. So the model has built. Let's just test the flow and see what the result is. Okay, perfect. So we did get a flow error, but this new Cognigy NLU warning is the new feature that is available with version 4.3, and it will give you some detailed information around which rules or conditions in your NLU model are causing those specific errors. So these warnings will only be displayed within the Cognigy user interface, and therefore they won't affect your eventual deployments to endpoints. As you can see, the flow itself actually operated just as it was expected to. So that is the new warning features for NLU issues. And the last feature, also like to, a very simple new addition that we've also made to the interface is the ability to retrieve the Cognigy agent ID from the home menu here. So you can simply click this extended menu on your agents and copy the agent ID. That is just to quickly retrieve it. One of the new features also that we have is a little bit harder to demonstrate, but it is an integration option for IDP providers supporting the OpenID Connect protocol. Previously, we only had the SAML 2.0 protocol, but now we've extended that to support another huge industry standard in OpenID Connect, and that connection is fully documented in our product documentation, and there's also a support article that can show you how to connect with OpenID. So, in summary, just like to remind you that we do have all of the release notes listed inside our Cognigy documentation. So, encourage you to refer to that for the full list of version 4.3 features, and as well as the improvements that were made with this version. And of course for future versions that are released with new features and improvements. So we hope you enjoy using these great new features in your Cognigy.AI projects, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you very much.